In this video, we're going to be making a low poly potion bottle in Blender. This is so much fun. If you're a beginner, you're going to learn a lot. If you want to follow along and try this yourself, there's a link in the description to get my free startup project that has the materials and the textures set up and everything so that you can follow along and easily make this along with me. All you got to do is double click that blend file and you'll be ready to go. Let's get started. I'm going to get rid of this cube here and Shift A, and let's go to mesh cylinder and let's take these vertices down. Let's do like, let's do 12. Okay, that's cool. And let's make it a little bigger. Let's do 16. Sure. Okay. So what we're going to do is make this the kind of the top of this potion bottle here. And I'm just going to start by scaling this down in edit mode. And then let's just bring this up, GZ, and we'll take this bottom part, this bottom face in face mode. I'll hit 3 to go to face mode. And then let's extrude this here and scale it up and then extrude it down and scale it down like this. So we're just making the main big part of this. I think that's going to work pretty well. And then let's actually scale this down, GZ, and kind of just start to work out this thing. I'm just hitting E for extrude here, and I think that's good. Now, I want to make a lip around this, and you can do this a lot of different ways. I think what I'll do is just hit E for extrude, and then I'll right click, and I won't move that. So that this face is really on top of the other edges here. So there are edges when you move it, but you can't see it right now. So I'll scale this, S for scale, and just bring this out a little bit, and then E for extrude, like that. Good. Yes. Now we can inset this face with I. There we go. And then E to extrude this down like this. And we'll just kind of have a little hole there. That works well. Okay, so what we're really looking for here is to kind of rough in the basic shape of this before we get crazy. So I'll hit 2 to go to edge mode, hold Alt, and grab this edge, and I'll hit GZ to bring this down and just kind of make this a little bit more equal. Same thing, Alt, GZ. Yeah, and we'll just have this kind of slowly ramp up like that. I think that's going to be pretty cool. Pretty cool. The other thing we could do is hit 3 and then hold Alt and grab these edges, and then let's just S Shift Z, and we're scaling this down, but not on the Z axis. We'll just make this a little bit smaller. Yeah, kind of a little bit more cartoony. I think that's nice. That looks cool. Okay, so we have this kind of set up, but let's make this edge a little bit less sharp. Hit 2 to go to edge mode, Alt to select this ring, and hit Control B. And that's going to bevel this. And if I roll up with my scroll wheel a couple times, then I can kind of round this out. See what we're doing? Yeah, that's nice. GZ, bring that down a little bit. Yes, that's cool. That's cool. Now I want to adjust the edge of this a little more. 2, let's select this 2 and hitting Alt, GZ. Yeah, that's nice. I think this whole thing is maybe just a little, I don't know. I think I like it. If we want this edge to be a little bit smaller, I can hit 3, Alt, and click that ring, and then just S, Shift Z again. Make that ring a little bit smaller. Yeah, I think that's cool. So yeah, this is really up to you, depending on how you like that, that shape. I think maybe we'll make this part just a little bit smaller. I can go into X-ray mode here. So click on this little thing. That'll let me select these faces a little bit easier. And I'll look at this down the X-axis, zoom in here. And let's just grab all of these faces like this. Let's just grab all of these too. Yeah, there we go. And let's hit G and then Z. And then we'll bring this down to be the right size, a little bit more squatty. Something like that. Yeah, there we go. Cool. get out of X-ray mode. This is looking pretty good. Let's see if we can make this look a little bit more smooth. I'll right click and say Shade Auto Smooth. That looks pretty nice. The one thing is this little edge right here, which we can probably just hold, hit 2, hold Alt and grab this ring, and then just bevel this, Control B, and I'll roll back down so it's just one bevel like this. And now if we hit Tab, yeah, that's nice and smooth. That's cool. We have a flat part here that we can set on. So we can either leave it like that, or depending on how detailed you want to get, you could also extrude a little ring here. So extrude like this, and then I for inset, and then E for extrude like that. So we can kind of follow that up and kind of finish that off with that ring. That looks pretty cool. That looks pretty cool. I like it. Okay, now the question is, do we want a cork for this? I think I do. So let's actually grab this face. We can either make the cork separate depending on what you need, but I think we can just grab this face, GZ, bring it up like this, and then scale it up. It's a cork. Boom. We could bevel this, Control B, like that. Psh, that looks good. Yeah, it depends on how high res you want this. We could also bevel these edges, hit 2, Shift select both of these, holding Alt, Control B. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. That's pretty sweet. I love that. Let's colorize this. I can select this, and I'll go over to our UV editing, and let's make sure that we have our cylinder selected here, and down here on our material options, let's click on this little circle and select main material. This is going to make this look crazy, but here's what we do. This is a texture that is applied to this material, and what we can do is we can kind of select all of the faces, and then in the UVs, which is just how the faces are laid out to use the texture, we can make them really small and just use part of this texture and colorize it all with one texture, and we don't have to make lots and lots of materials for different things. Of course, if you want to do more advanced stuff, like have different reflectivity and sheen and bump maps and all that stuff, you'll have to do this a little bit different way, but this is a great way to do it. So I'm just going to hit, I think I'll just go to X like this, and then hit A for all to select all of these faces, and then U for unwrap. That's going to unwrap the UVs, and I'm just going to project from view like this. The reason I'm going to do that is because this is going to give this a nice side view of my UVs, and I can have this kind of fade from bright to dark, which just looks nice. It's just a really quick way to make this look nice. And I think I'm going to pick kind of a blue. And so let's scale this down and pick a blue that we like. So I'll just scale this down to be right there on that blue strip. And now if we look at this, look at this. Oh, see, that looks amazing. Dude, that already looks great. So I'll hold Alt, or I'll hit A to select all of these, and then I'll go over here and let's scale this on Y. So SY, and that's going to make this a little bit taller on this strip, which is going to use more of this range of color. And so the top of this is going to be brighter and the bottom of this is going to be darker. Let's take a look at this in our render. Yeah, that looks cool. So see how it's just darker there a little bit? That just helps give this a little bit of variation that just looks nice. Yes. That looks good. Okay, now we can actually use a different color for these faces right here. I can hit 3 to select the faces, and then I can hold Control and then hit plus on my number pad like that, and that's going to grow that selection. I can also go up to select more or less, so I can select more like that. That works too. But I have these selected. Now let's just grab these and bring these to a nice cork kind of color. Let's just hit G over here, and I'll just bring this to kind of a cork. And again, let's just SY. Yes, look at that. That looks so good. Dude, we didn't even have to do much, and that looks amazing. I love that. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Okay, last crazy thing that we can do here, because I didn't really do this, but check this out. If I hit 3, I can select the faces, right? If I hold Alt, I can select these loops. And let's grab this loop and just extrude it by hitting Alt-E to extrude faces along normals. And I can kind of pull this out like this. Let's just pull this out a little bit like that. Yes, there we go. So it's just out a little bit, and then we're going to select those faces and then the faces we just made with that extrude, these little tiny faces. Control plus, it's going to select those two. And now here, let's move this over to something like, I don't know, we could make that brown, sure, like a darker brown. Look at that. Oh, that looks so cool. We didn't even have to do anything, and that looks cool. I love that. All right, last thing I want to do, this is one of my favorite things to do, is let's just go back to our layout here. Keep looking at our cool textures here. I'm going to hit Tab and hit 1 on the keyboard. And then I'm going to grab one of these vertices, and I'm going to go up here to this little button. This is our proportional editing button. And what we can do is we can grab things with this. And when that circle appears, we can kind of stretch things that are within that circle. And if we scroll in or out, we can make the circle bigger or smaller, and it kind of changes the influence here. And so I can influence the whole thing or not much at all, right? I can right click to not do that. And so I can just grab part of this, G, and then just kind of move it around a little bit and just make this a little bit wonky. And I feel like that just really makes things next level. You don't have to do much, just kind of tweak it a little bit. And that will just, it's like the subtle difference that really makes that more interesting. See how much more interesting that is? Because it's kind of a little wonky there. I love that. Okay, let's see how this looks on a render. Let's go to over here in our outliner here, we have our render stuff. If I go over here to our filter and go down and enable this little monitor thing here, I can turn on the monitor. And that is going to bring up all of our render stuff. That just makes it easy to do a quick render here. And let's look through our camera by clicking this little camera button. And yeah, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. We're going to make sure this is sitting right on the floor. Just hit GZ and bring this up so it's just barely on the floor. Good. And then maybe we'll scale this up just a touch. Just a little bit. There we go. GZ. Good. Put that right on the floor. Yeah. Just get in here. There we go. Just barely on the floor. Good. Okay. So now we have our awesome potion here. I can rotate this on Z, get the most interesting part here. I think I like that where it's a little wonky right here. And then let's render this out and see what it looks like. I'm so excited. Render image. Oh my goodness. See, that's what I'm talking about. You can put that in your game and have a really cool, scientist's workshop or something like that. Oh my goodness. If you want to learn the very best ways to model in Blender so that you can create anything you want, I have a beginner course called Blender 101, and that teaches you the basics of modeling, a lot of the stuff we sort of skipped over here. There is a link in the description, and so if you want to check that out, there's a link there, and I'll also put a little thing right here. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Hope this helps you make some awesome 3D stuff in Blender. I'll catch you next time.